Will the Bills miss the playoffs?
Isn't it so crazy we have to ask that?
It is insane.
I think, well, again, you know me and I got to pull up the schedule. It's just, I got to always have a live look before I say it. But your next game is against the Chiefs. How about that? So, that doesn't feel very good, does it?
Under 500?
But I'll say that if you ever talk about a game where the Bills are going to, maybe if you're the fans and you say, you know what, we can't not show up.
Right.
Maybe this is the one. So let's say for positive hypotheticals that they beat the Chiefs, right? You're sitting there at 7-6.
Okay.
Then after that, this is where it gets really rough because you got to go Cowboys, Chargers, Dolphins out of the next 4.
Oh.
And it's like,
that's like a real...
I talk about realisticness and percentages. I feel like the percentage of them winning more than double that they, or I'm mixing up. Winning more than half of that they lose.
Yeah.
50-50. And it's like, you're looking at what, like a 50-50 to make the playoffs? It's definitely not favorable.
Man, I have a feeling that they're just not going to make the playoffs this year. And like, that may be ignorant, but bro,
it feels like it's not going to. No, if we're just basing this off of feeling,
the Broncos beat them and they're ahead of them right now in terms of like playoff race.
Listen, the only team you really have faith in them for sure beating is the Patriots. And even then, the Bills are the type of team where it's like
they would blow it.
Could they? I mean, seriously,
the Bills are just like the new Cowboys.
They have been. They are the AFC Cowboys, except this year they're not up to the same standard.
No,
which is weird. Didn't think I'd be saying that this year.
No, man, this game was it was just. I know it went to overtime and everything like that, but the Eagles are just the better team.
They're the better team, and not only that, undisappointing losses are the story of the Eagles this year. Yeah. And then on the Bills side, it is only disappointing losses are the story for them. Yeah. It's literally the tale of two completely opposite spectrums of winning your games you're supposed to win and not winning the game you're supposed to win.
Gabe Davis spazzed.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk about. What? That's another thing I think that plays very much into this team. What have you ever seen a team where there's a receiver that goes for 100 yards like every other week? Oh, but then what did he do the other week? He goes for like 0. Has there ever been a receiver this volatile that you've ever seen? I'm trying to think.
I wonder what it is. Like, do you think it has to do with scheming? Do you think it has to do with separation, like play design? Like, what is that?
That's the problem is whatever it has to do, it's been killing my dynasty team. Spent the 4th fucking round pick on this man like 2 years ago. Oh my goodness. My worst fantasy pick in history. But back to reality here, not fantasy.
No, I think it might have been Najee.
Yeah, Najee was somehow I still was competing for the chip last year with all that nonsense. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
But Najee and Gabe, 2 of my first round picks, man. But again, back to reality here. It's like the Bills, disappointing. And then the Eagles, the complete opposite. And so it's like, well, I'll move over to the Eagles because I don't want to be on the Bills' disappointing side over here. Jalen Hurts' MVP campaign definitely gained a major traction after this one. 5 touchdown day. Definitely the reason towards the end you could say that they won that game.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, Jalen's definitely moving forward in that. Whereas this is a weird MVP campaign too, where the numbers don't necessarily support it. But if you're watching the game, I think you understand more and more. It's like, yes, the numbers don't support as much, but he's the guy that's always doing the brotherly shove. He's always the one that's running it in for him. He's always the one taking hits. Yeah. Like it's less numbers and more just like he really does take a beating for that team, and they win with him. So it's like you got to consider it like that.
Yeah.
And then also want to talk about James Bradberry, first interception of the season in a huge moment because it's weird. James Bradberry normally an interception machine, only one this year so far, but you couldn't have asked for it in a bigger moment. And then also just only a 1 sack day from the Eagles, still enough to pull it out. Probably a big reason the Bills were able to put up 34 points also. Not that the Bills' offense isn't what we know it is, but they're a great offense. But I think that the anomaly day from the Eagles, too, in the sense of like minimal pressure.
So let me ask you this. Like, do you think this is something where it's like if the Bills miss the playoffs, are people going to be like everyone was already questioning the Ken Dorsey firing, but if they miss the playoffs, is it going to be like, okay, bro, why did you fire him?
Oh, the question is, no, it's already starting to be raised. Like Sean McDermott is getting to hot seat territory.
No.
Which is insane. Because that was like, talk about like that shit like motherfuckers be like, bingo card. It wasn't on my bingo card. I'm going to pull out that analogy.
It wasn't on my
definitely wasn't on my fucking bingo card.
No.
That Sean McDermott was going to find himself in the hot seat this year. Sure as shit. Somehow. Here we are.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not looking good for the Bills. I don't think anybody would have predicted the Bills like See, because I was down on the Bills initially. I think we were both down on the Bills initially this
Not
year.
on the hype.
Not
but
on the hype.
not that like they were
Not
still
like
not
this.
going to be above 500.
But so I was listening to this one podcast, the Athletic Football Show, and it was really good. This was before the season, and they had the Bills losing 3 or 4, and they were basically talking about how like basically the advanced metrics and analytics still showed that the Bills last year, regardless of how you thought of them, were still like a really good team, and apparently that is how it is this year. And I was like, you know what? Like, you're right. Like, they should not be worse than 3-4 wins or 3-4 losses. But man, I feel like 6 losses feels right for them.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, yeah, okay, but then by that same ideology, like, well, they were in certain metrics they're above where they're supposed to be. Yeah, but they also have blown almost all their losses against inferior teams. So what does it mean if you put up good numbers against a bad team, but you still can't beat them? It means that you're a choke artist. Like,
choke.
I mean, I just trying to simplify it here.
I feel you.
It's like just because you put up good numbers, but you can't get the job done. What do we call that?
Actually doing
the Chargers?
Something. Yeah.
I mean,
we're about to get to them.
You get what I'm saying here? It's like that's where it's like, I only go into these certain analytics when it matters.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I agree that, and I know what you mean, where there's certain things, especially offensively, where you're like, the Bills are definitely very far ahead of the pack. But it doesn't matter when you can't put it together in the fourth quarter and when you start to choke. And it's not even just about the fourth quarter. The Bills just don't show up to their competition. It doesn't matter how good the stats look when you don't show up to your peak.